A text message from an anonymous number popped up, along with a video that revealed the horrifying truth. Olivia, my wife, was making out with Ethan, my best friend, in a hotel room. Everything was dead silent. My heart felt like it was being squeezed as I realized that my perfect life was just a cover for a bitter betrayal. The story began with the sound of clinking glasses echoing in the lavish space of the banquet hall. The pale yellow light from the crystal chandeliers reflected the bright smiles and congratulations from friends and partners. I, Nathan, stood in the middle of the room with Olivia, the wife I had loved and trusted for the past 5 years. We had just raised a glass to celebrate our wedding anniversary, the day that marked the marriage that I once thought was perfect. Looking at Olivia in her soft blue dress, her smile was like a star that lit up the whole party. I smiled proudly when I heard the congratulations from my friends. You two are really the perfect couple. Zrenie. Naren, вы так lucky imitь Olivia. My heart sank a little, not because of joy, but because of a fleeting worry, a feeling of unease that I couldn't name. The party was still going strong, but I felt my phone vibrate in my pocket. A text message from an anonymous number popped up with the terse words, "Look, this is the truth about her." I frowned, my heart suddenly beating faster. When I opened the message, a video appeared. What I saw made my glass of wine almost fall to the floor. In the video, Olivia, the woman I loved and trusted the most, was in the arms of Ethan, my best friend. They were in a hotel room, lips touching, their eyes exchanging the same look I had received from her. The shock hit me like a cold wave, sweeping everything away. In that moment, everything around me seemed to stop. The music, the laughter, the sparkling lights of the banquet hall, everything faded away, leaving only one image in my mind, Olivia and Ethan. I clenched my phone in my hand, trying to stay calm. Not now. Not here. I had to control myself. With a fake smile on my face, I walked over to Olivia, who was happily chatting with her friends. Her eyes sparkled with joy, but to me, it was all fake. "Are you okay, Nathan?" Olivia asked as she saw me approach. I nodded, trying to hide my disappointment. "Just need some fresh air," I said, and walked out of the party room. Out on the balcony, I took a deep breath, but the cool night air did nothing to calm the rage burning inside me. I played the video again, this time slowing it down so I didn't miss a single detail. The hotel bed, the cream curtains, the dim lighting. I recognized it as the room Olivia had said she'd stayed in on a business trip 2 weeks ago. The feeling of betrayal stabbed my heart like 100 knives. I used to think I was a good husband, gave her everything I had, but it turned out that it was all a farce. Olivia not only betrayed me, she did it to Ethan, the man I considered a brother. Looking out at the night sky, I clenched my fists, feeling anger rising in waves like a tsunami. I had been betrayed not by one person, but by the two most important people in my life. Olivia's sweet words, Ethan's friendly pats on the shoulder, all of them now became pieces of a cruel deception. When I returned to the banquet hall, I remained calm on the outside, my smile seemingly unchanged. But inside, rage burned like a fire in every corner of my soul. All the congratulations, laughter, and handshakes were now just distant, faint sounds. My eyes silently followed Olivia, who was standing in the middle of a group of friends, laughing and joking as if nothing had happened. As the lights dimmed and the guests settled in to listen to my speech, I stepped onto the stage. This was supposed to be a proud moment, as I spoke about our love and our journey over the past 5 years. But now, every word I had prepared felt like a burden that I couldn't say. I looked at Olivia, sitting in the front row, her eyes looking at me with hope, but to me those eyes were just a veil covering a lie. "Ladies and gentlemen," I began, my voice remaining unusually calm. "Tonight is a special occasion, not only to look back on Olivia and I's remarkable 5-year journey, but also to thank all of you who have been there for us." I took a deep breath, trying to stop the anger boiling inside me. "But sometimes what we see on the surface doesn't reflect the truth on the inside," I said, looking straight at Olivia. "Love, as they say, requires trust. But when that trust is betrayed, love loses its meaning." The room fell silent. Olivia frowned at my words, her eyes showing concern. I knew I was walking a fine line between keeping up appearances and letting my anger out, but I didn't want to turn this party into an explosion. The truth needed to come out, but not here. Not in front of the astonished eyes of my friends and business associates. I finished my speech awkwardly and stepped off the stage. Many people came to congratulate me and shake my hand, but my mind was filled with only one thought: how to face Olivia without letting my anger explode on the spot. I didn't have to wait long. After my speech, Olivia approached, a smile on her face that seemed to ease the tension I'd just shown. "Are you okay?" she asked, her voice light as if we were having a normal evening. I nodded, trying to contain myself. "Fine, but I need to talk to you after the party." My words, coupled with the coldness in my eyes, made Olivia's smile falter. "Okay," she said, but I could see the worry flickering in her eyes. When the party ended, Olivia and I walked home in silence. The air between us felt heavy, as if the air had been sucked out of the air around us. I held my phone in my hand, the video still there, like a time bomb waiting to be detonated. When we got home, Olivia started to go straight to her room, but I stopped her. "We need to talk," I said, my voice cold. She stopped and turned to me, her eyes troubled. "What's wrong, Nathan? You're making me worry." I didn't say anything, just opened the video on my phone and handed it to her. Olivia took it, her eyes fixed on the screen. When she realized what was happening in the video, her face paled, her hands shook, and the phone almost fell from her hands. "Explain," I said, my voice low and firm, but inside the anger was like a volcano threatening to erupt. Olivia opened her mouth to say something, but no words came out. She looked at me, her eyes pleading. "Nathan, I can explain. This isn't what you think." "Not what you think?" I chuckled, my laughter bitter. "Olivia, don't take me for an idiot. This is you and Ethan in a hotel room. You two think I'll believe this is just a misunderstanding?" Olivia burst into tears, tears streaming down the face I once loved. "Nathan, I'm sorry. I made a mistake, but it's just a passing thing. You have to believe me. You're the one I love. I never want to lose you." "Enough," I shouted, letting my anger bubble up for the first time. "Not only did you betray me, you dragged Ethan, my best friend, into this. And I'm supposed to believe you still love me?" Olivia collapsed to the floor, sobbing, but I no longer felt pity. In that moment, I realized that the woman I thought was perfect had betrayed everything we had built together. As I walked out of the room, Olivia called out, "Nathan, please give me another chance. We can start over." I stopped, turned back to look at her, my eyes cold as ice. "Olivia, you ruined everything, and I will never forget this." That night, I couldn't sleep. The image of Olivia kneeling at my feet, tears streaming down what I thought was a sincere face, kept playing in my mind. But instead of evoking pity, it only made me angrier. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering, why did she do this? And why did it have to be Ethan? The next morning, I walked into my office and locked the door. The phone and the video were still there on the desk. I went through every second, not out of grief this time, but for clues. A hotel ticket flashed across the frame, along with the name of the hotel. I typed the hotel name into my computer and looked up the receipt. Olivia had said the trip was for a project meeting, but in reality, she'd spent the weekend there with Ethan. I began to make plans. The first thing was to get the whole truth. I contacted a private investigative friend, Kyle, and asked him to follow Olivia and Ethan. I need everything, texts, emails, every meeting place they had. I told Kyle, my voice firm, "Give me the truth. Nothing more, nothing less." Kyle, who had seen his fair share of infidelity in his career, simply nodded. "Nathan, I'll take care of this quickly, but you have to be prepared for what's about to come out." During the days of waiting, I tried to keep a calm exterior, but inside I was like a volcano waiting to erupt. Every time Olivia walked into the room, trying to pretend everything was normal, I felt a creeping sense of disgust. I didn't say anything to her, just watched. She kept up her routine, going to work in the morning, coming home late in the afternoon, and always having reasons to leave the house on the weekends. 3 days later, Kyle called me. "Nathan, I have what you need, but it won't be easy to hear." I met Kyle in his office, He placed a thick file on his desk, along with a USB drive. "This is all the evidence," he said. "Their texts, emails, and meetings. I took pictures of everything too." I opened the USB drive on my laptop and watched each video. In it, Olivia and Ethan met not only at the hotel but also at other places: a familiar coffee shop, a fancy restaurant, and even a beach where she and I had vacationed. Those images were like knives stabbing my heart, one after another. Kyle sighed, looking at me sympathetically. "Nathan, this wasn't just a mistake. This was a calculated betrayal." I clenched my fists, betrayal rising like a tsunami. "She didn't just betray me," I said, my voice cold. "She destroyed everything we had built. And Ethan, the person I trusted the most, was a liar too." Kyle looked at me, hesitantly adding, "Nathan, there's one more thing. Ethan and Olivia, they've discussed leaving you once she's fully in control of the assets." I felt my blood freeze. Those words were not only betrayal, but also the ultimate in cowardice. I nodded, saying nothing more. The pain was no longer there. Instead, a strong will rose up. "If they want to play this game, I will show them what it means," I told myself. I walked out of Kyle's office, determined. This wasn't just about ending a marriage, it was about restoring honor and turning things around. As I walked out of Kyle's office, I paused for a moment, looking up at the gray sky. The cold wind blew through my jacket, but I didn't feel it. The anger inside me had cooled, replaced by a new emotion: determination. I was no longer the weak Nathan I had been. Olivia and Ethan's betrayal was more than a wound. It was a spur to action. I would not only make them pay, but make them understand that they had picked the wrong person to stab in the back. And to do that, I needed a plan. I went back to my house, to my office, and opened my laptop. I kept the files Kyle had provided me. I reviewed each photo, each video, each message, not to grieve, but to prepare for the fight ahead. I knew I needed a good lawyer who could help me use this evidence to my advantage in every aspect of my divorce. After a quick phone call, I met with Jack, a top attorney in the field. He carefully reviewed the documents, nodding his head in agreement. "Nathan, with what you have in your hands, not only can you take all the assets, but you can also make sure Olivia never receives a single cent from you." I nodded, my eyes cold. "I don't just want her to leave empty-handed, Jack. I want her to feel the loss of everything she once held dear." When I thought about Ethan, my best friend whom I had trusted, my anger rose again. Not only had he betrayed me, but he had used our friendship as a cover for his actions. I knew I couldn't just sit by and watch. He had to be held accountable for what he had done. Kyle continued to follow Ethan. His shady business dealings were not lost on the detective. I discovered Ethan was trying to raise capital for a new business venture. This was my chance. I secretly contacted some of Ethan's potential partners, under false pretenses. With the help of Kyle and Jack, I gave them enough information to make them suspicious of Ethan and withdraw from the project. His project began to falter, and I knew this was just the beginning. I didn't want it to end in divorce. I wanted Olivia and Ethan to understand that their betrayal had not only ruined my life, but theirs as well. I contacted some friends in the media, preparing to expose the truth to the public. A story of betrayal between friendship and marriage would be something the public could not ignore. At the same time, I had planned my last meeting with Olivia. I knew she wouldn't give up easily. Olivia had always been good at talking and persuading people, but this time, she wouldn't stand a chance. A few days later, I invited Olivia to a quiet coffee shop. When she walked in, her eyes filled with hope and worry. I could tell she was starting to feel like things were out of her control, but I wasn't going to take any chances. "Nathan," Olivia began, her voice shaking, "I know you're angry, and I know I made a mistake, but I still love you. I don't want to lose you." I looked at her, all pity gone. "Olivia," I said, my voice calm but sharp, "what do you think love is? Lies? Betrayal? Using someone you say you love?" Olivia looked down, not answering. I continued, this time placing a file in front of her. "Here are the divorce papers. You will sign them, and you will get nothing from me. No money, no house, and no custody of the children." She raised her head, her eyes filled with panic. "Nathan, don't do this. Please, give me a chance." I stood up and looked her straight in the eye. Chance? You had all the chances in the world, Olivia, and you ruined them. Now, I simply take back what is mine. As I left the cafe, I knew I'd laid the first brick in my revenge plan. Olivia would never be able to come back into my life. Ethan would soon taste defeat too. But this was not the end. This was only the beginning. The morning of the trial, the atmosphere between Olivia and I was thick with tension. She sat across the dining table, her eyes darting at me as if trying to guess what I would do. But I said nothing. The anger in my heart had turned to a terrifying indifference. To me, Olivia was no longer the woman I loved, but a traitor who needed to pay. In court, my lawyer, Jack, quickly gained the upper hand. With the evidence I had gathered, videos, text messages, and Kyle's testimony, the entire case was laid out before the judge and Olivia. The pictures of her and Ethan at the hotel, the flirtatious text messages, and especially the secret conversation Kyle had recorded. Ethan, how much do you think we'll get from Nathan's assets after I divorce him? The courtroom fell into a heavy silence. Olivia sat motionless, her face ashen, and I kept a cold smile on my face. Olivia, I said, my voice calm but sharp, is this why you asked me to give you another chance? To continue taking advantage of me? She tried to open her mouth to defend herself, but her words were meaningless. The judge nodded and made his decision. All the marital assets went to me, and Olivia lost custody of the children. I could see the despair in her eyes as the judge finished reading the sentence, but I didn't feel pity, only satisfaction. After leaving the court, Olivia tried to approach me outside. Nathan, please think again. We used to have happy days. I know I was wrong, but you can't take everything away from me like this. I turned back, looking her straight in the eye. Take everything away? Olivia, you took everything away when you betrayed me. What you're going through is just the price you pay for your choice. I walked past her, leaving Olivia, broken and alone in the crowd. While Olivia faced her downfall, Ethan had yet to realize that he was not off the hook. Through my connections in the industry, I had ensured that any project Ethan was trying to launch would be stalled. No partner was willing to invest in someone whose reputation was tarnished by scandal. A week after the divorce, I received a call from an acquaintance in the industry. Nathan, have you heard about Ethan? He just lost a big contract. I heard the main investor backed out at the last minute. I just smiled, feeling a sense of victory filling my heart. I heard from people I knew that Olivia was struggling. She had moved to a small apartment, sold the luxury items she had once loved. Her work was not going well, and gossip about her affair with Ethan began. She had been a woman everyone admired, but now she was a disgrace. I don't actively seek information about her, but every time I hear news, I can't deny the feeling of satisfaction. This is not the final revenge, but it is the first step in my journey to seek justice. I didn't stop after the divorce. For me, the divorce was just the beginning. Ethan and Olivia had not only destroyed my marriage, but they had also trampled on the trust and respect I had for them. Now, I wanted to make sure they faced consequences they could never have imagined. Ethan, in an effort to restore his image and career, was trying to convince a major investor to invest in his new startup. I learned about this from a friend in the industry and quickly put a plan into action. Through my connections, I sent the investor a detailed report detailing Ethan's dishonest behavior, from personal scandals to shady deals that Kyle had uncovered. The results did not disappoint. The investor pulled out of the project immediately, leaving Ethan with all the capital he had worked so hard to build. I received an email from a friend in the industry. Nathan, did you hear? Ethan is completely bankrupt. He has been blacklisted by most major investors. I took a sip of my drink, feeling like I had just completed an important step in my revenge plan. Ethan was no longer a rival. He was just a loser clinging to fading hope. While Ethan's career was falling apart, Olivia was not doing any better. News of her divorce and her relationship with Ethan spread quickly through the social circles she had once been a part of. Friends who had once praised Olivia now turned their backs on her, avoiding her as if she were an unwanted scandal. I heard from a friend that Olivia had to leave her job after the company received too many complaints from customers. She tried to find a new job, but no one wanted to hire someone with her reputation. She used to be a proud woman who lived in luxury, but now she has to live on the meager income from selling luxury items. One day, I received a text message from Olivia. Nathan, please talk to me. I need you. I can't live like this." I read the message, feeling a brief pang of pity, but it was quickly replaced by determination. "You chose this path, Olivia. Now you have to walk it yourself." I ran into Olivia at a large charity dinner. This time she was no longer a distinguished guest, but a waitress, carrying a tray of wine from table to table. When her eyes met mine, her face was pale, her hands shaking so much that the glasses on the tray almost fell to the floor. She moved closer, trying to talk. "Nathan, I know I didn't deserve it, but I'm really sorry. If I could go back, I would never hurt you like that again." I looked at her, feeling like I had nothing more to say. "Olivia," I said slowly, "you're not sorry for hurting me. You're sorry for the price you paid, but it's over." As Ethan struggled to recover from his setback, I prepared the final blow. Through my connections, I acquired the small company he was banking on to revive his career. I threw a party to announce the deal and invited Ethan, disguised as a networking opportunity. At the party, I stepped onto the stage, my eyes looking straight at Ethan as I announced, "From today on, this company belongs to me, and I have no place for people who do not know loyalty in my team. Ethan, you are fired." The room fell silent. Ethan was stunned, his face red with shame and anger. He left the party without a word, while I felt like I had just completed the perfect final chapter of my revenge. Ethan disappeared from the industry after that blow, and Olivia continued to live in isolation and hardship. I no longer cared about them because, at this point, I was beyond their reach. After things ended with Olivia and Ethan, I left the city, taking a few clothes and a suitcase full of unfinished plans. The old city held only painful memories, and I knew I needed a fresh start to find myself. My destination was London, a place of great opportunities, but also of great challenges. When I stepped off the plane at Heathrow Airport, I knew I was entering a new chapter in my life, but it wasn't easy. I rented a small apartment on the outskirts of London, with nothing but a bed, a desk, and the will to get back on my feet. In the early days, I buried myself in work, trying to do everything I could to forget the past. I worked 12-hour days at a small tech company, taking on projects that no one else wanted to do. But deep inside, the pain of betrayal has not gone away. It is present in the sleepless nights when I sit alone in the dark room, looking out the window with a heart full of questions. Can I start over? One day, while working on an AI project, I realized I had an opportunity. The idea of an AI application that could predict financial markets suddenly popped into my head. I looked back at what I'd learned from my job, past failures, and betrayed relationships. If no one believes in me, I will forge my own path, I told myself. I decided to quit my stable job and invest all my savings into my project. I rented a small office, just enough for a desk and a computer. During the day, I searched for funding and met with investors. At night, I wrote code and developed my ideas. After 6 months of relentless work, I finally had my first product. It was an application that could analyze real-time market data, helping investors make informed decisions. But the biggest challenge was how to convince investors to trust a nobody like me. I gave a presentation at a tech event. The room was small, with only a few dozen people in attendance, but I knew there were some big investors there. For 30 minutes, I presented my idea with passion and determination. When I finished, the room was silent. I was prepared for rejection, but then a man stood up and said, "Nathan, your idea has great potential. I'm willing to invest in it." That was the moment I knew I was on the right path. The first investment allowed me to scale up the project. I hired more staff, opened a larger office, and started looking for customers. Within a year, my app became one of the most popular tools in the financial investment world. Tech magazines wrote about me as a new phenomenon in the field of artificial intelligence. But for me, success is not just about numbers or titles. Every time I sign a big contract, I remember Olivia and Ethan, the people who doubted and betrayed me. And I say to myself, they will soon realize how wrong they were to lose me. In the months that followed, my career took off. The company was no longer a small startup, but one of the most sought-after names in the fintech industry. I attended international conferences, appeared on the covers of prestigious magazines, and signed multi-million-dollar contracts. But for me, each success was not just a milestone in my career, but also a reminder that I had escaped the shadow of betrayal. One day, I attended a big charity gala in London, where I was invited to be the keynote speaker. The room was brightly lit, everyone was dressed to the nines, and the atmosphere was filled with laughter. I walked onto the stage, feeling completely confident and in control. But then, as I spoke, my eyes happened to catch Olivia's. She was at the back of the room, not as a guest, but as a waitress. Her eyes met mine, and I saw the shock in them. After my speech, I stepped off the stage, and Olivia, in a moment of weakness, approached me. She stammered, her voice trembling. "Nathan, I can't believe it's you. I've heard about your success, but seeing you here, it's just too much." I kept my face calm, but inside I was filled with a sense of triumph. "Olivia," I said, my voice calm, "you don't believe it, do you? Because when you left me, you didn't think I'd be standing here today, did you?" She lowered her head, unable to say anything more. I continued, "But I have to thank you. It was your betrayal that pushed me to become someone you could never touch again." That meeting was not only a personal triumph, but also fueled my career. I expanded the company globally, opening offices in New York, Singapore, and Dubai. My AI application became the standard in the financial industry, and the company's value skyrocketed every quarter. I started investing in other sectors, from real estate to renewable energy, building a multi-industry empire. My success is now not just a startup story, but also a symbol of resilience and rebirth. At a tech conference in Dubai, I met Isabel, a healthcare startup founder. Isabel is smart, determined, and empathetic. She not only understands me, but also shares my big dreams. We quickly became a great team, both in work and in life. Isabel didn't ask about my past, but she always supported my decisions, no matter how difficult they were. With her, I found a peace I hadn't had since the betrayal. While I was at my peak, Ethan was still trying to rebuild his career, but all his efforts were in vain. One day, I received news that he was trying to raise capital for a new technology project. I saw this as the perfect opportunity to end his last hope. I approached potential investors, giving them information that made them withdraw from the project. When Ethan lost everything, I couldn't help but feel a little satisfied. But this time, instead of confronting him directly, I let him reflect on his mistakes. With each step forward in my career, I felt like I was not only overcoming the betrayal, but using that hurt as motivation. I didn't just want to succeed, I wanted to prove that I could be better, stronger, and never be forgotten. Looking back, I no longer feel hurt about the past. Instead, I feel grateful for what happened, because it was the betrayal that turned me from a weak person into someone no one could look down on. Ethan was now a pale shadow of the man who had proudly stood by my side in the old days. He had gone from a close friend to a traitor and now a failure, struggling to find a way to get back on his feet. News of Ethan's efforts to raise capital for a new startup reached me through a friend in the industry. This was not the first time I had heard of his desperate efforts, but this time I sensed that the time had finally come to make the final call. I decided to approach Ethan's project, not to invest, but to buy it outright. Through an intermediary company, I secretly took control of the majority of the shares in the project, without Ethan knowing. The project he had placed all his hopes on was now in my hands, and Ethan no longer had any rights to his brainchild. When everything was ready, I planned a party to announce the deal. This would not only be an opportunity to announce my acquisition of the project, but also a chance for Ethan to face the truth that everything he had worked so hard to build now belonged to me. The night of the party, the space was decorated with lights and music. Guests from the finance and technology industries were present, from famous investors to CEOs of large corporations. Ethan was there too, but he still had no idea that this was the defining moment of his life. I stepped onto the stage, eyes on me. Ethan sat in the front row, his face confident and slightly nervous, as if he were waiting for a big collaboration opportunity. I looked at him, feeling the anger from years ago now cool, replaced by a cold sense of satisfaction. "Ladies and gentlemen," I began, my voice clear, "today is a special day. We are not only here to celebrate a great deal, but also to witness the beginning of a new project with a great potential." I paused, my eyes fixed on Ethan. This project, once founded by someone I once knew very well, will now belong to me. The air in the room suddenly became still. Ethan raised his head, his eyes wide with surprise. "Nathan, what are you talking about?" he stuttered, standing up from his chair. I looked at him, a cold smile on my lips. Ethan, I am saying that from today on, all your efforts now belong to me. You have worked hard, but unfortunately, you have nothing left. Ethan was stunned, speechless. I continued, you ruined our friendship, and now you get exactly what you deserve. Ethan tried to defend himself. Nathan, you can't do this. This is my project. I worked so hard to build it. I shrugged, not taking my eyes off him. Then you should have thought about that before you betrayed me. I turned and walked off the stage, leaving Ethan standing there, his face red with anger and shame. After the announcement party, the news that I had taken full control of Ethan's project quickly spread throughout the industry. Not long after, I received a call from an unknown number. When I picked up, Olivia's trembling voice rang out. Nathan, I know I shouldn't call, but I really need to see you, she said, almost pleading. I kept silent for a few seconds before replying, my voice calm. What else do you want, Olivia? I think we're done. Please, she continued, her voice choking. Just one talk. I need you to know that I am truly sorry. I thought for a moment, then agreed. Okay, one last time. I chose a fancy restaurant for our meeting, not out of respect for her, but to remind Olivia of the life she had left behind. When she walked in, I could see that she had changed. Olivia no longer had the swagger and radiance she once had. She looked gaunt, her loose hair no longer shiny, and her eyes were tired. Nathan, she said softly, as she sat down across from me. I said nothing, just looked at her with cold eyes. Say what you want to say. I don't have much time. She bowed her head, choking. I know I was wrong. I can't change what happened, but I want you to know that I regret it every day. I lost everything, family, friends, career, and I realized that no one in this world can love me like you did. I looked at her, the feeling of pity fleeting and then gone. Regret? I said, my voice full of sarcasm. Do you regret losing me or losing the life I gave you? She looked down and didn't answer. I continued, Olivia, you hurt me in a way I will never forget. But the truth is, I don't feel hurt or angry anymore. I just feel pitiful for you. She raised her head, her eyes red. Nathan, please give me a chance to make things right. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I want to do something to make it up to you. I chuckled. Make up for it? Olivia, what do you think you can make up for? You destroyed everything, and now I've rebuilt everything without you. I stood up and placed a check on the table, a sum that would be enough to keep her alive for a while, but not a generous gift. This is the last time I do anything for you. Consider it the price I pay to never hear about you again. She looked at me, tears welling up in her eyes. Nathan, I'm sorry. I nodded, then turned and walked away, never looking back. As I walked out of the restaurant, I didn't feel relieved or satisfied. Instead, I realized that my true revenge wasn't in making Olivia or Ethan suffer. It was in surpassing them, not just in my career, but in my life. I was no longer the weak Nathan I had been. I was a strong, independent person in complete control of my life. Isabel was waiting for me in the car, her gentle smile seeming to dispel any remaining gloom. As I sat down, she took my hand and said, Is everything okay? I nodded, squeezing her hand. It's okay. The past is behind us. We drove home where I knew my new life, one without betrayal, only happiness and love, awaited. Many years after leaving everything behind to start over, I, Nathan, now stand at the top of the world that I once dreamed of. My company has become one of the leading technology corporations in the world, worth billions of dollars. I own skyscrapers, promising projects, and a reputation that anyone in the industry must respect. But more than material things, the most important thing I have is peace. My life is now free of lies, betrayal, and insecurity. I live with Isabel, the woman who has helped me heal the deep wounds in my heart, and has become the ideal companion on this new journey. Even though I had moved away from the pain of the past, I still heard news of Olivia and Ethan from time to time. Olivia had left the city and was living a quiet life, trying to get by. She had tried many places to find work, but no one was willing to hire someone with a bad reputation like her. Ethan wasn't doing much better. After his startup failed, he was in debt and eventually declared bankruptcy. Once a friend, once someone I trusted, Ethan was now just a name in my memory. One day, I received a letter from Olivia. Her handwriting was shaky but clear, as if to convey the feelings she couldn't put into words. Nathan, it's been years, but I still can't forgive myself. I lost everything because of stupid mistakes, and every day I live in regret. You were everything to me, my partner, my soulmate, and my unconditional lover. But I destroyed it all. I don't expect you to forgive me, because I don't deserve it. But I want you to know that I always wish you happiness, Olivia. I folded the letter and put it in a drawer without saying anything. I didn't need her forgiveness, nor her blessing. But the letter was a reminder that we all pay for our mistakes. Olivia didn't just lose me, she lost herself. My life today is not only about personal success, but also about sharing it. I spend a lot of time on charity projects, helping people who are looking for a chance to rebuild their lives. Every time I see someone overcome difficulties to achieve their dreams, I see myself in them, someone who has fallen, but is determined to get back up. Isabel has been a wonderful partner in this journey. She's not only my wife, but also my soulmate, who has witnessed and supported me since the early days of rebuilding myself. Together, we have created a life that is not only rich in material things, but also full of meaning and love. One evening, I was invited to a dinner honoring the most influential people in the tech industry. As I walked into the lavish ballroom, I felt the admiring gazes of those around me. But I didn't feel superior to them, I just felt proud of my journey. In my acceptance speech, I said, I am not here to talk about success. I am here to talk about failure, because it is my failures that have shaped me into the person I am today. Betrayal, hurt, and loss are not the end. They are just the beginning. If you are willing to face them and move forward, I hope my story serves as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, you can still find light. As I walked out of the auditorium that night, Isabel held my hand, her eyes filled with pride. I looked at her and smiled, feeling my heart truly at peace. The past is no longer a wound, but a driving force. My success is not just revenge. It is a declaration that I have conquered myself, and that is the pinnacle that no one can take away.